Good evening, campers, and welcome aboard the Starship Nightwish. I'm Commander Exorcist, and welcome to Talk O Tuesday. This is my weekly Elite Dangerous show where I pick a Galnet article, read it, talk about it, primarily from a lore perspective, but I will break the fourth wall if necessary. And Update 18 is here, and the Thargoid War has entered what Frontier has called the Endgame. Now, Endgame, at least in chess, it doesn't mean the game is over. It's the final stages. It is the deciding factor. You can win the opening. You can win the middle game. But if you fail in the end game, it's over. There's no hope for you. So this is a critical moment in the Thargoid War. This is a critical moment for humanity and for Elite. We got to get this right. And so Update 18 has arrived, and with some interesting reactions to it. I'm going to talk a little bit about the reactions as we go through this article, but suffice to say that I think a couple of people were disappointed that they don't get to fire 10 to 12 torpedoes into a Titan and watch them, randomly explode in space. So it's always going to be, we always knew it was going to be a little more complicated than that. So the kind of the dichotomy between the two sides, the people that knew it was going to be extremely complicated to finish and those that kind of expected just a little bit of simple pew-pew and you were done. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch. But today we're going to talk about the torpedoes. That's right, everybody's favorite redemption story. Aegis is back with the launch of the anti-Titan torpedoes, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, this article, the title has changed. So when it was originally published, it was Aegis is preparing a counterattack. But it has been updated to Target the Titans, which I really like that. So somebody at Frontier had like a last minute change of heart when it comes to the naming convention for the article. Very happy with that. But we're going to go through this and talk about it and see where we stand on the cusp of human victory or human barbecue. We've got Aegis is preparing concerted attacks against Thargoid Titans using the new weapons now available at rescue megaships. Just a thought about that. I took the Blorg Supremacy, which is my trusty dolphin, to one of the megaships. I think it's in Xencia or something. They are a Class 2 torpedo set. So if you have a ship that only has Class 1s, you're not going to be able to take these things. So bring a ship that has Class 2 module support for weapons. A successful delivery campaign brought in enough supplies of neofabric insulation, ion distributors, and energy grid assemblies to mass-produce the Guardian nanite torpedoes. Yes, those were some seriously successful CGs, thanks to everyone who participated. YZ SETI Blue Galactic and Company, acting on Aegis' behalf, is distributing rewards and reimbursing bounty vouchers from Clement Orbital in the YZ SETI system. So if you haven't gone and collected your bounty and you delivered a bunch of that stuff, go get your extra credits. They may not be much, but every little bit counts these days. A press conference was held by Aegis leadership, including a statement from Professor Alba Tessero. Ooh, this should be interesting. The Guardian nanite torpedo is our most important innovation yet. Once again, we are utilizing the advanced sciences of the Thargoid's ancient adversary. And once again, we are relying on pilots' skill and determination to face the Titans at close quarters. And I really wish that, I'm enjoying the war arc, but there's a part of me that really wishes that we had leaned into this ancient adversary arc because, I get it. I know that it's a sci-fi trope. Stargate did it just into the ground with the ancients. But I really like this kind of storytelling. I think that it works because, humans are young, I guess you could say, in galactic terms. We haven't been around very long in terms of how the rest of the galaxy and the rest of the universe has been around. So the idea that there are other ancient races out there that have come before us and flourished and potentially died off is a very real possibility. It's a very good story arc. And here it works really well when you consider the nature of the Guardians fighting the Thargoids, and now kind of humanity is like stuck in the middle, And so I kind of wish they had leaned into that a little bit more. Now, that's not to say that they don't. There's plenty of opportunities in the future for us to lean into the Guardian Thargoid history. But, I just think that the war would have been a little bit more interesting if we had understood a little bit more about why and what with the Guardians. What was specifically the issue between these two races that kind of brought them to where they are, and what happened to the Guardians? Like, why are the Thargoids still here, but the Guardians seem to be the ones with the upper hand of the technology? So, I'm painfully aware that many abducted people are still in captivity aboard the Thargoid motherships. Scan results suggest that a majority have now been rescued, but those remaining may not survive these attacks. That is a very unfortunate side effect of war, especially in an endgame. When you have the opportunity to launch an assault and defeat your enemy, you have to consider collateral damage. Now, it is considered. It's part of the rules of engagement, and in the international community, we call it the law of armed conflict. And there is a balance. You have to balance the destruction of civilian infrastructure and civilian lives with the cost of defeating the enemy. Is it acceptable to destroy an enemy compound and damage a civilian facility if it brings about a significant military advantage? Yes, it is. It's unfortunate. A lot of people don't want to hear it, but it's an actual very sound military tactic to sometimes just let it all out to finish it. And so this is a very realistic approach to it. We have to understand that we can't get everybody off of those ships, because if we spent our time just collecting people off of the Titans, we're never going to get a chance to fight them, to really bring them down, when now we have a weapon that we run the risk of exposing that weapon to the Goids and them developing a countermeasure. While we've got it, we've got to use it. We're forced to accept that their sacrifice will result in fewer deaths than if the Titans are allowed to remain operational. I guess I could have read the next line. That would have been good enough. Anti-Xenos strategist, former Admiral Aiden Tanner, discusses Aegis' tactical approach. These torpedoes must be aimed at the thermal vents on the Titan's hull. On the exhaust port, people, it's the Death Star run. A sufficiently large payload of Guardian nanite should paralyze these vents. The mothership will be forced to discharge the colossal heat it generates by exposing its inner regions to space. That will provide us with sensitive targets for more conventional weaponry to inflict serious and hopefully critical damage. So let's talk about that real quick. So this is almost exactly what we expected in terms of the individual the stuff the commanders could put on their ships and fight the Titans with. So you have the Guardian weapon, which essentially opens the doorway to sensitive parts of the Titan ships that we can attack with conventional weapons. However, a lot of people have realized, and if you've been playing Elite Dangerous for any length of time, you should have known this was coming. You can't just fire these things at a Titan and expect it to explode. You can get it down to basically zero hull or zero power, but it's still around. It doesn't get destroyed. And there's still research being done, and this is part of the thing that Frontier likes to do. They like to say we missed something. Basically, what they're saying is you're not going to go out there and find some relic in space. That's not what you missed. What you missed is the methodology for bringing down the Titans. You're not going to scan them and find some kind of grand mystery. What you have to find is a sequence for breaking down the defenses. So at this point, it looks like, from what I've seen, what I've heard, and I think there's still kind of the AX guys and some other folks in Discords are looking at it, but it looks like it's heavily tied to system influence, which means that Tyrannus, which is the one that we recently basically kicked the crap out of, and it almost has zero influence, is probably the weakest of the Titans. So I think a lot of people are kind of focusing on Tyrannus and trying to fight that one. So it seems to be heavily connected to system states or system control and influence. So it'll be interesting to see how we figure that out in the coming days. So Aegis has marshaled allied, federal, and imperial ships to undertake this mission, but we calculate they will not be enough. This is going to be a massive, massive undertaking. It's not going to be just one person with 50 torpedoes doing this over and over. This is going to be a community-led event. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some CGs coming up where this is kind of what we chip away at the influence. So only with the support of independent commanders can we hope to deliver enough nanites to affect each Titan. This could prove to be the most important victory in humanity's history or our most devastating defeat. Now more than ever, we need you all. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. This is like, it's like reading an old school manual for a video game. Because, believe it or not, a long time ago, you used to be able to buy video games, and they came on these physical things called discs. Not CDs, but actual discs. They were square, and you put them in your computer. Well, they tend to come with manuals, which are books. They're actually made out of paper. They're bound together. You physically hold them in your hand, and you read words from them. And so a lot of times, the manuals would include the instructions for the game written like this. So there would be kind of like a lore presentation or history of what's going on, and so your mission and the explanation of what to do in the game was explained this way. So this is really cool. I'm liking how they did this. So is it what we thought? So as far as I know, we did not get like a doomsday weapon, or at least not that I've seen. And we got torpedoes, which is great. And, you can sit and say, well, it's just torpedoes. Yeah, it's torpedoes that open up the Titans to damage. These are things that for a year we haven't been able to scratch the surface of. And we've gone from scratching the surface, or not scratching the surface, to being able to open the core of these ships and attack them head on. Big deal. It's a big deal. So, it'll be interesting to see what comes in the next few days. There is a Frontier live stream on Wednesday, so check that out. It's the next Frontier Unlocked, which they're going to talk. I'm pretty sure they'll talk about this and some of the other stuff that's coming for Elite. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. And like Frontier likes to say, they do it very cryptically. I don't think we figured out everything. I think there's a little bit more to this. But the Elite community is just filled with really smart people. And I know that in no time, in probably a week or so, we'll have this figured out. And I would not be surprised if Tyrannus is in pieces in that time frame, because it's somehow linked to the Titans' overall influence, which is kind of neat because it's almost like a parallel to, and I mentioned Stargate earlier. So toward the end of Stargate, the TV show, there was a race of beings that they fought called the Ori, which actually derived their power from belief. So the more people that believed them to be gods, that energy, that psychic energy that people poured out in worship, gave them additional power. It's almost something along these lines, where the overall influence and control, the space and the manifestation of that control in these systems gives these Goids, these Titans, some kind of like almost supernatural power. And so the more people that you convince to turn away from the Goids, and I say people, I'm talking star bases and systems, the more physical space that you take away from these things, the less powerful they are. So it's really interesting how that is all kind of linked together. And so we ultimately could find out that the ultimate destruction of Tyrannus and its sister ships could be an elimination of anyone who has faith in it. So that is all I got for today. Hey, folks, these are the Disciples. If you would like to be a supporter of this channel, we just went partner. We're monetized now, so yippee. But this is a way to continue to try to free us of those shackles. But if you'd like to, patreon.com/Commander Exorcist. You get early access to videos and some other behind-the-scenes stuff, special things that you don't get here on the main channel. And just love to have you be part of the group. And that's it for Talk O Tuesday. So a little bit early out today because we got some other stuff going on. But yeah, are you out there shooting out torpedoes at Titans? I legitimately did. I tried to take my Dolphin, and I learned a very quick and tragic lesson that I couldn't even afford to put them on the ship because I don't have a spot that's big enough for them. But I did get some really nice shots of a glaive tearing my ship apart on my way out. So I guess it was worth it. So get out there. Try to figure out what's going on. I will be out there. A lot of folks are out there trying to figure out what it is we're missing. And, you know, like I said, I don't think it's going to be some kind of ancient relic somewhere. We're not going to find some obelisk in the middle of space that's going to answer all the questions of the universe or point us toward Raxxla. I think ultimately we need to find the sequence. What is it that we need to do for A to B to C to get to our final destination and to watch Tyrannus and the other Titans break apart and come crashing down on a planet's surface? That would be really cool, actually. Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you like this kind of content, give me a like and a subscribe. Share the video. Leave a comment below. Are you fighting the Titans? It'd be interesting to hear your war stories, everybody. Take care. Fly safe, and I will see you out there. Good night, everybody.